What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with my week 2 wide receiver rankings, half point PPR as always. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, though. I drop my waiver wire videos, my rankings videos every single week. I answer all the comments in the comment section down below. Going to be dropping my buy low and sell high players as well, the players that you want to make a move on or sell to make sure you can maximize your chance at winning your fantasy football title. If you don't want to win your fantasy football title, don't hit that subscribe button. No worries. Hit that like button and drop some comments in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. If you guys have any sit questions or anything, just put them down there. I got you guys. Okay, let's talk these rankings. So number 1, I've got Cooper Kupp against Atlanta. Number 2, Justin Jefferson against Philly. These guys are both, three. Jamar Chase against Dallas. All three of these guys are absolute monsters. We don't know if T. Higgins is going to play this week, so Jamar Chase would get an absolute ridiculous target share this week if he does. He's a stud regardless, though. All three of those guys, a lot of these guys at the top you're plugging in each and every single week. Deebo Samuel against Seattle. The reason I have him above Diggs and Adams this week is just because of the injury to Elijah Mitchell. There's a chance that he just gets a huge rushing workload on the ground, and we saw how dominant he was for fantasy football when he was getting the ball on the ground last season. Number 5, Stephon Diggs against Tennessee, an absolute stud wide receiver. Really excited about him this season. I think he's going to be much closer to his 2020 form. 6, Davante Adams against Arizona. Saw him record 17 targets in week 1. He's going to be heavily utilized, even if Derek Carr is not as efficient as Aaron Rodgers was, obviously. Number 7, Michael Pittman Jr. facing off against Jacksonville, heavily targeted by Matt Ryan. This is a great matchup for him. Number 8, Mike Evans against New Orleans. This might scare some people away with the New Orleans matchup, but I just think he still has so much touchdown upside, and with Godwin out, I think the targets will be there. Number 9, Mike Williams. Dud first week. He's going to be featured in my buy low category. I think he has a monster week coming up against Kansas City. He's an up and down player, though. That's just kind of how it goes with him. But getting in this Kansas City matchup where they'll need to put up some points and then Keenan Allen's out should be due for a big week. Number 10, A.J. Brown, heavily targeted by Jalen Hurts in week 1. You're going to be plugging him into your lineup each and every week with confidence moving forward. 11, Tyreek Hill against Baltimore, another guy who's heavily targeted. I think he had 8 for 94 in week 1 on 12 targets. Not scared away from that Baltimore matchup. 12, Courtland Sutton, great matchup for him against Houston. Really high on a lot of the. Have Jerry Jeudy at 15 as well. Think they're going to be moving the ball well against Houston and need to score some points as well. Number 13, Marquise Brown against Vegas. Good matchup for him with Hopkins out. 14, DJ Moore. I expect him to have a better week this week. I expect Baker Mayfield to not struggle as much as he did early. Moving down, because I already touched on Jerry Jeudy, we've got Terry McLaurin against Detroit. Great matchup for him, even though I'm not the biggest Carson Wentz person. But, really good matchup. So I'm excited for him for this week. Gabe Davis against Tennessee. We saw him thrive in week 1, secured 5 targets. I think he's going to get down the field, end zone targets consistently as number 2 in this offense. I expect him to continue to strive for fantasy football. 18, Amon-Ra St. Brown, heavily targeted in week 1. Washington matchup might not be as down the entire game like they were, but I still expect him to be the number 1 wide receiver on this team. I think he is a good football player. 19, we got Brandon Cooks facing off against Denver. He is the number 1 wide receiver on that team, and they could be down in this matchup. 20, Deontay Johnson. New quarterback, still a ton of targets. New England's not the best matchup, but I'm not scared away from them either. You're firing up Deontay Johnson this week. 21, T. Higgins. Don't know if he plays or not. If he plays, you're playing him in your lineups. If he doesn't, obviously you won't, but that's basically what it comes down to with T. Higgins. I just have him down here at 21 because there's some uncertainty as to whether he'll suit up or not. 22, Juju Smith-Schuster. Targeting players in this Thursday night matchup because I think it will be high scoring. I think he's got great touchdown upside this week, and he is probably the most targeted wide receiver week in, week out in Kansas City moving forward. Julio Jones. I spoke about the worries about Mike Evans, with the matchup a bit. Not worried about him. Not worried about Julio Jones either. I think they'll both strive. And if Mike Evans does struggle, then I think Julio Jones will pick up the slack. CeeDee Lamb at 24. Sure, Dak is gone, but I still think he'll be heavily targeted just with the receivers they have there. The targets won't be as high value, but a Cincinnati matchup that I'm not scared of. And I don't think you should be either. I think you can still play CeeDee Lamb in your lineups on certain weeks. 25, Michael Thomas against Tampa Bay. Want to see what his fantasy production looks like if he doesn't necessarily punch in 2 touchdowns like he did in week 1. That's the only reason I have him down here at 25. I'm still pretty optimistic about him moving forward, though, the way he played in week 1. 26, DK Metcalf against San Francisco. Heavily targeted. He's just a stud. They could be down in this matchup. Geno Smith looked good in week 1. We'll see if that trend continues. 27, Curtis Samuel. Great matchup for him against Detroit in the passing game. Was utilized in the rushing game as well. Comes over from the Panthers, where Ron Rivera was his coach before. Got a $34 million contract. I expect him to be continued to be utilized. 28, Jalen Waddle would normally be higher. I just like that Curtis Samuel matchup a lot this week. But I expect Jalen Waddle to be good. We saw, he made a move, just got open and hit the Jets in his week 1 matchup, took it for a touchdown. I think he can still do that, even though he's not the most targeted player on the team. Christian Kirk, it would help if I could spell his name right, put some respect on that young man's name. Over 100 yards in week 1 and faces Indy this week. Excited for him. 30, Allen Lazard. No guarantee he suits up, but if he does, I do expect him to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers and have the highest touchdown upside of any of their wide receivers. 31, Elijah Moore faces Cleveland this week. The Jets threw the ball a ton the first week. I expect this trend to continue. Joe Flacco loves to check it down to those running backs, so maybe the wide receivers don't get as big a target share with Flacco in, but still, Elijah Moore is a good play. 32, Rashad Bateman against Miami. I had a good week 1, caught that bomb as the number 1 wide receiver for them. 33, Darnell Mooney, speaking of number 1 wide receivers, he is just a tough Green Bay matchup for him. But I still, the target should be there for him. 34, Joshua Palmer. Like I said, I'm targeting players in this matchup with Keenan Allen out. I think he slides in the number 2 wide receiver role. 35, Drake London against the Rams. Mariota looked good in the first week. They should be down this matchup. He should be heavily targeted. Fire him up this week. 36, Adam Thielen has a great touchdown upside each and every week. 37, Allen Robinson. He might be a little too low. I feel like this is a good matchup for him. His target share was just so low in week 1, it was worrisome to me. 38, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Like I said, same matchup, big play potential. He could catch a bomb. Robbie Anderson, 8 targets in week 1. Looked more involved, more like his version of himself from 2 seasons ago as opposed to last year. Hopefully that trend continues for Robbie Anderson owners. And lastly, I've got Jacoby Myers against Pittsburgh. He is usually the most targeted wide receiver on that team. Hopefully Mac Jones is able to suit up this week. If you guys have made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.